Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today is going to be an interesting day in the United States. At least I'm sitting here watching on TV that they're in Washington D.C. All these crowds are gathering. We're about to see some craziness going on. Okay, I wanted to start this video. It is fascinating what we're watching right now, and I actually bought. My favorite thing to do in the world is, especially leading up to a trading halt in XRP, my favorite thing in the world is to buy XRP while I watch XRP flat or going down while Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin are going up. That, to me, that is a comedy. And so and I'll show you what I compared it to this morning. First, I want to show you this, okay? This, remember, let me remind you, Kendra Hill, who disappeared from social media. Very good time to look back. A lot of things starting to make sense. If you look back, Kendra Hill showed up on Steam in 2018 and said a lot of interesting things. And I want to show, many of you have already seen these things, but there's some of you that haven't. Listen to what she said back then. And this is an anonymous person. Jed McCaleb, co-founder of Ripple and Stellar, which is true, supporter of Lucis Trust, which I don't know anything about, has family ties connecting him to the Federal Reserve and United Nations. In fact, I've never seen who his family is. In 2014, he moved on from Ripple to create Stellar, giving the illusion that the two organizations were separate entities. Ripple and Stellar are like brother and sister, each providing something of value in the new world financial system. Ripple is said to be cross-border payment provider, and with the use of XRP, it will be for a short time period. The world will not need cross-border payment provider when we are using the Lumen. Stellar Lumens will become the world currency. While XRP becomes a store of value, the Lumen is digital silver, XRP is digital gold. The purpose of XRP is to be used in the derivatives market, while also acting as a store of value. XRP is not and was never intended to be a currency, nor was it created to be used specifically for cross-border payments. When Codius is released, we will see its true purpose unveiled. Now, what I believe is that this is what I think, and I think that Codius is what we now know as Flare. I believe that that is what evolved into Flare, okay, or something like that. Ripple and Stellar are the keys to the new world financial system, which will be ushered in as the old system collapses. Does it not feel like things are collapsing right now? And this is what I want you to really see. Cryptocurrency will be made illegal. This is not a maybe. This is a warning. Nothing is left up to chance. Our world is always planned years in advance. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail, and failure is not an option. Allowing additional currencies to exist when the world is only using one would be disruptive, so it will not be tolerated, and it will be easier to stop than you think. The illusion is that Bitcoin, for example, is untouchable. The reality is that the government is that it is government controlled through the use of mining pools. Any cryptocurrency aiming to be decentralized digital currency will not survive. The one that we will use has already been chosen. Okay? But this right here is an interesting part. The illusion is that Bitcoin, for example, is untouchable. I can tell you one way that Bitcoin would be completely touchable, and that is if someone had quantum computing and they were able to mine it all instantly. That's one way. Okay. All right. Now, let's refresh this. We are very close. Listen, I don't care if you are all scared about XRP or not, or you're in the other ones. It doesn't matter. One thing that's very important to XRP and all these others, when we cross $1 trillion on this market cap, it's going to be a monumental time, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a real big deal, period. Okay? But this is what we're looking at today. I think it's really hilarious. Bitcoin's up 8.63%. Ethereum, 10.49%. Tether, is a little over $1. Litecoin's up 7.16. Cardano, 29.18. But the greatest digital asset ever created that has intentionally, in my opinion, been attacked. Okay. Now it's up 5.86%, which that's more what it should be doing. But if you go down, look at Stellar. It's up 84. Let's see, now 78.5%. It's at 31 cents. And I think it went even beyond that. Now, this excites me. But I mean, I've told you before, I own some Bitcoin. I own, XRP is by far my largest holding, but I own some Stellar. I own some, Bitcoin and, maybe one or two other things. But anyway, Stellar, I've always said Stellar's not the one. XRP's the one. Stellar's the other. Okay. But when you see Stellar going up like this, it is good because these two have tracked each other the whole time I've been doing this. They've tracked each other, but I've always known that Stellar was going to be a part of the game. Now, if Stellar's going up like that, for me, it's a very good indicator for XRP because the cloud will be removed at some point. And I believe you will see things in direct proportion to what you're seeing with XLM right now, when that cloud is removed. That's what I believe. So I tweeted this out this morning. I just calmly walked into a store and bought pure gold while the hordes are flocking to scrap metal. You can't make this stuff up. Hashtag zero doubt. And that's this is what it looked like earlier this morning. It looks like XRP's gone up 2 cents. Now, and I do mean that. I bought it on Uphold this morning. I think I bought $800 worth of XRP this morning. You keep it down all you want. That's fine with me. I'm going to keep buying it. Now, Big Skinny, who's at Not So Skinny 1, yesterday, said this to me. I thought it was perfect. We are, quote, we are living the big short. And he is so right. This right here is a clip from the movie The Big Short. And The Big Short, for those of you that don't know, is about the 2008 financial crisis and how this small group of guys called it. And I feel like we're living through it right now. And Skinny, had said that. I think that's perfect for these times. Now, I want to show you this. This was given to me by, Crypto Dim. Now, you need to understand who Jim Rickards is. Jim Rickards is connected all the way to the heights of power. Jim Rickards has connections all the way to the 3-letter agencies. This guy is, I'm not going to use any words like that, but this guy is one of the guys who can go all the way to the top heights of power. And I've always thought this guy knew. He's always talked down Bitcoin. But there's two that he did not talk down. I want you to listen to what he says here.
Print too many dollars. You think the dollar is going to cost? Fine. What are you going to replace it with? What's your replacement? And no one has a good answer to that question. It's not impossible. I mean, it could be the special drawing, right? The SDR at the IMF. It could be gold. It could be a gold-backed SDR. It could take a digital form. I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking, the dollar is mostly.
Not talking about Bitcoin.
Currency because the message traffic is encrypted and it's mostly digital. I got a few dollars, maybe a $20 bill in my pocket or something. In Philadelphia, Philadelphia would call that walking around money. But the point is, the dollar is the leading cryptocurrency because it's a digital encrypted message traffic payment system currency. And then you say, well, what about, people say Bitcoin or whatever. Or the Chinese yuan? Forget the Chinese yuan. What people don't understand is that when we say, 60% of global reserves are in dollars, they're not like pallets of $100 bills stashed away in the basement of the People's Bank of China. It's dollar denominated, but it's not dollars. You have to go buy an asset that's denominated in dollars. And it's primarily treasury bills and notes. That's what the Chinese own. So the point is there has to be an instrument, and in my example, treasury bills and notes and bonds that you can buy. So where's the Chinese yuan bond market? It doesn't exist. I mean, barely. Where's the Bitcoin bond market? It doesn't exist. In other words, none of these so-called alternatives have a bond market that you can actually invest in. Bitcoin has another disability, which is that this guy, Satoshi Nakamoto or whoever, supposedly invented it, I mean, somebody invented it. You know, are we sure it wasn't a deep state team from Raytheon? You know, I mean, who knows who actually is behind this thing? But it doesn't matter. If you want to buy it, knock yourself out. But the point is, there's no yield on Bitcoin. You can call it a currency if you want to. Good luck buying a cup of coffee. Print too many.
All right, so there's that. Now, what a lot of you listening to me, those of you that are new to the party, there's a couple of things you have not seen from Jim Rickards. Many of you have seen this before. It's okay. We need to show it to the people who are new, and there's a lot of people that are new to this. You need to see this because Jim Rickards is no dummy. He's the same guy that talked about Ice Nine and BlackRock and all of that. Listen to this where Jim Rickards is talking. This is from Modern Wall Street Roundtable back in 2018. This guy right here is talking, and then in the next clip after this, I'll show you Jim Rickards, who's right there. But watch, while this guy's talking, I want you to listen to what he's saying, but watch Jim Rickards' body language, because he's not shaking his head no when the guy's talking about Ripple. Listen.
Those that are working with regulators and are working with banks. I
agree with you.
Ripple
right.
would be an example.
Ripple would
XRP.
be an example.
Not a yes.
Now, this is and I can imagine in the next 5 years, instead of us doing sterling against the dollar or sterling against yen and doing these kinds of transactions, we'll do sterling versus Ripple. And the reason being, dollar right now is a 2-day settlement. With something like Ripple, you could do settlement in seconds. And I think that there's a future there where the guy that's trading spot FX today will be trading spot FX against Ripple in the future, in the next 2 or 3 years. So I think that Ripple has a great future because it's right now supported by all the banks and by all the regulators.
And it has an elastic monetary base, right?
So well, if we take that and you go to the blockchain ledger, if you take that concept that you're discussing, I have no problem with it. I agree with it. But you're talking about money. You're talking about transaction, a medium of exchange. There has to be something behind it, and that's where I'm going to pull this conversation back to gold. There has to be some sort of reserve asset. The problem with fiat currencies right now is that they can print as much as they want, digitally or whatever. It's not tied to anything, and so as a result, the value of the money can be negated. It can be destroyed over time, and it is destroyed over time.
I think one of the biggest sales pitches that folks that enjoy Bitcoin talk about is the fact that it's finite. And yet you have a fork, and boom, here's another currency based off of this one. You have another fork, more currency, another fork, more currency.
Correct. The fact that it's finite
it's hardly finite.
Is actually one of the worst things about Bitcoin, and it shows that really smart developers and really smart engineers don't know anything about monetary economics. Because if you understand monetary economics, you don't want hyperinflation, you don't want money everywhere, but the money supply has to grow a little bit. As the economy is growing, if the money supply doesn't grow and the economy is growing, that's inherently deflationary. Each coin is going to get you more and more because you've capped it out. Well, if it's deflationary, if you look at, say, the dollar, M0, M1, M2, M3, et cetera, what you find is that most of the money in the world isn't really money, it's credit. Credit is what makes the world go round. People borrow, if you have money and I borrow from you and I give you a note and I lend it to Vaz and she gives me a note, all of a sudden there's like $3 around. Well, it was really only $1. We got 2 notes. But the point is, credit is what makes the money supply expand to go along with the economy.
All right, so there's that clip, and then here's another
one. It's an encrypted digital asset. You might have a couple bucks in your pocket.
Yeah,
the dollar is an encrypted digital asset. You might have a couple bucks in your pocket, but you don't really use it. You use credit cards, debit cards, direct pay. You pay your bills automatically. The whole FedWire system is all digital. Has been. The last paper treasury note was 1982, I think. So, and all that message traffic is encrypted. So the dollar is a digital cryptocurrency, which shows that, but it doesn't have a distributed ledger, that's the real innovation. That's what makes
not blockchain, distributed ledger.
The digital distributed ledger, not the currency itself. And some of them, I think, have a future. The technology definitely has a future, but Bitcoin is a dead end. I mean, Bitcoin's non-scalable, non-sustainable. It's got criminal use cases. It was the biggest bubble in history, bigger than the Dutch tulip bulbs of the 17th century. It's just sort of I
think the New York AG.
Yeah, the dollar is a...
Okay. And then, so you can tell, he knows all about Ripple. He knows about XRP. All right. And then this one is XLM. Listen to this. This is Jim Rickards again.
Merchant acquirer accepts your MasterCard, then they got to hand it over to the local bank. That bank has to send it to a correspondent bank in Sydney, Australia. The bank in Sydney, Australia has got to run it through the Visa network. Then they got to get paid. Then they got to send it back to this little bank. So think of all the steps, all the costs, et cetera. What if you could replace that with a blockchain? They are doing this, by the way. This is a real pilot using the Lumen token. Well, IBM has built this. Lumen is the token of choice. It's working extremely well. And those value is moving around without going through this clunky central bank network and correspondent bank network that I just described. It's cheaper. That means, people can either lower prices or offer more services. And it's also big on remittances. A lot of countries.
So there you go. Okay. Now, yesterday, Mr. B, XRP, sent me this. Ripple investor sues to force stock redemption on SEC claim. This is one of Tetragon, which is one of Ripple's venture capital firms that helped fund its Series C round, I guess. This is Ripple's response to Tetragon filing suit against them. And they say, in Ripple's Series C investment agreement, there's a provision that if XRP is deemed to be a security on a go-forward basis, then Tetragon has the option of having Ripple redeem their Ripple equity. Since there has been no such determination, this lawsuit has no merit. We are disappointed that Tetragon is seeking to unfairly take advantage of the lack of regulatory clarity here in the U.S. The courts will provide this clarity, and we are very confident in our position. So, it sounds like a big FU from Ripple to them. Okay, here's another interesting tweet that went out in the last few days from the IMF. The currencies central banks hold as foreign exchange reserves have remained largely steady over decades, but geopolitical shifts, technological revolutions, and the fallout from the current events could accelerate transformations in their reserve holdings. And then this is a little flashback. This guy says, what this means, XRP. IMF's green light for crypto. Do you see the IMF holding crypto assets in the future? All right. This is from Brad Garlinghouse. We've played it many times, but it all kind of ties into how the things are shifting today.
Will surprise us a year from now is that banks will be custodying.
Fast forward.
They're over here. That's easier.
Here it is.
Is this regulatory clarity in the future? Oh,
wait.
Questions, and I see a bunch of questions on this screen, which I can't really read.
This guy over on the right is from the IMF.
Can you see those? Oh, there's 2 votes.
Let me try.
Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? Oh, they're over here. That's easier. You want to take one? Go for it. The first one's for you. IMF. Do you see IMF holding crypto assets in the future? I did not put that up there.
Remember, I'm from the legal department. I'm supposed to be very conservative about these things. I don't want to go into great details about
Maybe I should take what the IMF is going to do. I think we stunned Ross into silence with that one.
For that to happen, okay, under the current legal framework, some country would have to use a crypto asset as its currency.
Which goes to the next question that was on the list.
Okay. Just wanted to show you that little clip. Okay, and here is Kristalina Georgieva, who runs the IMF now on December 11th of 2020.
Technology money is more involved than sending texts. It will require technology standards between digital monies, mutual regulatory and legal treatments, and ID systems that are trusted across borders. The Financial Stability Board, with our support, recently offered a roadmap to enhance cross-border payments. But much work lies ahead to implement it. Cooperation is also key to address spillovers. As digital money becomes more widespread, effects will ripple around the world.
They'll ripple around the world. These include
domestic currencies being swapped.
I don't know what this music is over this, by the way, but this music could cause a copyright
reduce
strike.
monetary policy effectiveness.
If you don't get this, then go to this guy at Brand_Wizard to see that video. Okay. Stuart XRP sent me this. This is a guy from the World Bank. Listen to what he says.
Chain and distributed ledger technology before I left the World Bank group in 2019. And so this was an opportunity for me to really understand where things are moving. And it's just great to see how stellar, now I think more than 500 million operations from 4 million accounts, and been reading about how so much has changed. even since when I left the bank in 2019. Groups like Deloitte have said that now for executives, it's no longer a question of will blockchain work, but how can we make blockchain work for us? But it immediately struck me when I was at the bank, in the year of the founding of Stellar in 2015, especially, that blockchain technology, although it wasn't well understood, certainly not inside the World Bank Group and certainly not in financial institutions, but that it had a huge potential for having a major impact in the world. And here are the areas where I immediately thought that there could be an impact. And the first one is universal access to financial services. And now I want to leave you with a very personal story. So what I said to that boy and to my own staff is that in 1963, I was a 4-year-old in Korea in preschool. And I said that if George David Woods, the president of the World Bank in 1963, had visited my preschool class on a trip to Korea, I don't think he possibly could have imagined that one of his successors was sitting in that room. And I think there is no question that access to financial services, access to platforms like Stellar are going to be a critical part of opening up the world so that everyone can become whatever their imagination, wherever their imagination leads them.
Is the writing on the wall or is the writing on the wall? Michael at VAL5 Links sent me this. Is going to the moon because the Bureau said so. And this is from a document, Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. And it says right here, the continued growth and expanded partnerships of virtual currency companies, they mentioned Ripple, which offer both a payments messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers, as well as a virtual currency, XRP, which can be used to affect settlement of those transfers. The Bureau notes that this could result in greater standardization, the ease by which the, I can't read that part, no exact covered third-party fees and exchange rates. The Bureau also believes that expanded adoption of Swiss GPI product or Ripple's suite of products could similarly allow banks and credit unions to know the exact final amount that recipients of remittance transfers will receive before they are sent. And so let's move along here. Brian Melancholy XRP sent me this. This is interesting. I am thrilled to announce that I have joined Grayscale, the world's leading digital currency asset manager, as the chief compliance officer. Companies like Grayscale play a critical role in developing appropriate market structure by providing market participants exposure to digital assets through the existing regulatory framework. We look forward to continuing our work with regulators and policymakers on ways to allow the digital asset ecosystem to grow in a responsible and mature manner. I look forward to working with this phenomenal team on its continued growth into 2021 and beyond. Who is this guy? Benjamin Melnicki, America's head of regulatory affairs, regulatory counsel at Ripple. My question is, if this guy failed in his job at Ripple, which he would have to have done for Ripple to really be going through all this mess, for this thing to be such a scary thing. If he did so horribly to the point where he had to leave because his mission failed at Ripple, then why does Grayscale, which is owned by the Digital Currency Group, which is one of the first investors in Ripple, by the way, why would he be named Chief Compliance Officer? See, if I'm running a company and I'm looking at something like that and I think a guy has just basically left because everything he had been working on had failed, why am I going to hire him at Grayscale? That's what I see when I see this. It's a great question. Link to, I was going to bring this to everybody's attention, and you can go to link2.com to see this as well. But this is you can go to their feed here and get the link so that you can register. It says, we're thrilled to announce our next Lunch and Learn featuring Crystal Rose, of Sense Chat Labs. She's one of the Forbes top 10 women in blockchain. So this will be interesting. They're going to do this. Does it say when they're going to do it? Here, I'll just click on the link. They're going to do this if it'll come up. Let's see. Here we go. This is going to be January the 20th. Okay. Link to Lunch and Learn, the future of blockchain 2021 and beyond. So go check that out if you're interested in that. Also, Flare Network is doing, I'm doing a refresh here. The Flare network, I have seen this thing go as high, I think is 17 cents while I've been watching it. These are Flare IOUs on Bitrue right now, okay? Because Flare has not been released yet. But these are Flare IOUs, and right now it's almost at 14 cents. You can see what it's up today. This is exciting. But I'm going to get you, if you want to be exciting about your Flare, about owning Flare, here's what you need to watch. Thinking Crypto, I showed you parts of his interview with Greg Kidd the other day. Now I want you to watch this. And I said some of the smartest people I know put out the "aw shucks" vibe, but they're really genius. I give you Greg Kidd, the man with the Midas touch. This guy, if anybody has the Midas touch with investing, it's this guy. Even compares himself to Forrest Gump a lot of the time, which I think is funny. If you ever wanted to be bullish on Flare networks, here it is. Great job Thinking Crypto. Watch this.
Stefan Thomas, who used to be the CTO, like he had the concept of smart contracts, like he was working on it, you know, before Ether got off the ground. And, you know, there was a talk about doing and making the next big push for Ripple would be in smart contracts, as opposed to like what it came as like a payment solution alternative to like Swift and correspondent banking. I personally wanted Ripple to go more in the direction of identity. But Ripple made the decision to go in the direction it went, and it put aside the opportunity of smart contracts. And Ether took that up, and it's been really impressive. And so it's always been curious to me would be what would the XRP ledger be like if it had a smart contract layer built over on top of it, given that it's just much more efficient than Ether. And maybe Ether now with like moving to like proof of stake from proof of work will be more efficient and stuff. But I like that it's game on, and you know, I just want to see to the rodeo. So I'm game, and I made sure to get, you know, a pretty big holding. I'm probably part of the responsibility for that run up of the XRP price to, you know, to be part of the, you know.
Oh, really?
On that December 12th cutoff date, I want to make sure I got some tickets to the rodeo. So, you know, I'm a tickets to the rodeo kind of guy. It served me well before. I know that sounds like fear of missing out, but I hope Forrest Gump got an early seat at the rodeo before everybody else knows there's a rodeo. But I have to admit, I wasn't like the first of the party for Flare. I was kind of late to the party, but you know, better late than never.
Sure. So there you go. Greg Kidd is a buyer, and he says he's the guy that drove the price up, which I find interesting. Now, Mark Phillips, who's the guy that wrote the famous article about how XRP was designed for $10,000. He says he had messaged me yesterday, and so I went to ask iTrust to answer the question he had. He says, big relief, digital asset investor asked iTrust if XRP would be stuck on the platform if it was ruled a security. Here's their response. Though a withdrawal might be taxable, your assets are your assets. Great job, DAI. So this is the actual screenshot of the response I got from iTrustCapital. They said, yes, at any point, any asset held in an iTrust account can be withdrawn as an in-kind distribution. In many cases, this will cause a taxable event, but at least they can get it in their possession and hopefully find liquidity from a different source. So, my plan as I sit here right now, I have all of the XRP, and some on the, iTrust platform that I have had. I have not, I'm fully invested in it right now. Okay. So as I sit here right now, I am keeping my XRP on the iTrust platform. You do what makes you comfortable. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing as of right now. And if I change my mind, I will let you know. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that I believe that this whole thing is on like Donkey Kong. Some of us just don't know it yet. Thank you for listening.